Here's how to make your kids love you even more than they already do. Go along like this and then you indicate, look what you can see. Come on, they're gonna love, I love you, Dad. Okay, Google, show the viewer what they can see through the rear view mirror.
Okay, great.
I'm not sure if I should be able to hear the windscreen wipers. Polestar have made a car that shouldn't work until it does. And it also asks the biggest question performance cars have ever had to face. Because this isn't just quicker than most performance cars, 536 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds, but it's also smoother, it's quieter, it has more technology, and it's 20 grand cheaper. Yeah, it's electric. And yeah, it doesn't have a back window. So? I'm going to live with this car for an entire week to find out if I can live without the back window, what it's like on a long journey and how quiet it is. And here I am inside the beautiful cabin, which already is like Black Mirror in here. I love this steering wheel with its square bottom and the size of it. I already think that I like this car straight away more than the 3. And this, the nicely orientated screen, which is landscape and not portrait, because it's not TikTok. The reason the Polestar is already successful is simple. It's that we all secretly want to be in Star Wars. This is about as close as it gets. I mean, look at this. You can even select one of the presets to which planet you want to visit. No other car does that. My question, though, would be, have you got enough range? So, at the moment, this is reading 272 miles at 74%. So, in theory, the real range is 361 miles in this car. Question is, how true is that? And how does the battery management stack up? Before that, a test. This is supposed to charge at 200 kilowatts. That should, in theory, give you 225 miles in about 20 minutes. Not bad. But there is a catch. And that catch is not all of the chargers that you go to will give you the delivered amount. This one is advertised at 300. This car only accepts 200. And it probably won't give me even 200. Yeah, parking all that, most of the time you'll be charging at home anyway, because that's what sensible people do. The question is, does something like this make more sense than another performance car, or dare I say, something like a supercar? Yes, cheaper to run, cheaper to buy, cheaper to insure, but more than that, this does something, or cars like this do something that other performance cars can't, and that is change the driving experience altogether. So what do I mean by that? Well, by far, the most enjoyable thing about an electric car that doesn't get talked about enough is one-pedal drive. I wonder, as a proposition, if this small thing is enough enjoyment and relaxation to undo all of the hassle you get from an electric car. And it isn't just relaxing and good, it also saves your brain. In case my mum's watching, one pedal drive is where when you take your foot off the accelerator, it starts to slow down or will stop, which means you never really need to use the brake if you don't want to. Now this helps your brain because on a typical journey, we're making things like micro decisions. You've heard of micro stressors that happen throughout the day. Colin at work, for example, he said, never mind, this car will save up to 5,000 micro stressors just from that one feature. This means you can go further, drive for longer, and be less fatigued. And less fatigued is always much less... Running bickering! Time now for yet another road trip and long journey, and this is a very long journey. Look at this. This is 3 hours and 6 minutes because I live in the south of England. If I lived in the north, everywhere's only an hour away because it's thinner. Look at this, 3 hours and 6 minutes. It says I'll be there by 2:30 if I charge at Bracknell. 57% and 210 miles. Something somewhere is eating the battery. Let's see how it does on this journey, or if I run out. I'm going to let you into a secret here. 3 electric cars I've reviewed have performed very badly. One left me completely stranded, cold, scared, and alone. But not Polestar. Very basic head-up display, but the thing I like about the head-up display is how bright it is, and the information that's there is all that you need. To go into the pilot assist mode, which I think is brilliant, you press the button on the steering wheel, you don't use the stalk, and that is basically it. So like this. It actually looks better than that in real life. Not only that, but have a look at the rear view digital mirror at the moment. Now, if I indicate right, watch what happens to the picture. There it is.
The Force will be with you, always.
So, how did the car do on the journey, and did it eat the battery? We'll find out, but first we should cover off just one of people's concerns.
To get round the obvious on this rear camera, what they've done is cleverly place it just where the airflow is so that you don't get dust or rain on it. And there is a hydrophobic coating on the camera too to stop water from staying on it. And like the Polestar 3, the car is designed very nicely with airflow in mind, starting with this very low front. This is called an air curtain, which takes the air through and actually feeds the air along the car, and it only disperses when it gets to about here. And actually also underneath, because it is an electric car, the bottom is completely flat, which makes it better than normal cars for airflow and for range. Two of the smallest things here, well actually three. First of all, if you are wanting to do your lipstick, there is a problem because you can't switch that and turn that into an actual mirror. So there's no lipstick changing while you're going along. The second thing is this, even though it is just a tiny screen that looks plonked on, it's just amazing to have that. I can see my range, I've got the maps, I've got the directions, I've also got my head-up display there. But of course the most unusual thing of all is this on the steering wheel, which is just a small ring that's cut into the steering wheel itself. But something about it just adds so much for me. It is the little things.
Of course, it all lights up at night, so you can pretend you're in an X-Wing. Which, to be fair, let's be honest, it was a little bit basic inside. There was no Harman Kardon for a start. Look at this animation, this is way better. To remind you, the car has full control. Add that to the very nice head-up display, and the comfort and the looks. Yeah, but what about the journey and the car eating battery? Well, let's jump back in.
Okay, change of plan. We have now arrived. I have decided not to charge on the way and wanted to see whether the battery would actually, how the management would work. It is quite a warm day, but it's been, 70, 60, 70 all the way. Battery is now saying 9%, 34 miles of range still left. No issues whatsoever. In fact, probably one of the quietest long journeys I've done in a car for a very long time. In fact, even the noisy part of the M25 was all right, and the pilot assist was brilliant. Here is the trip information: distance 201.5 miles, consumption average kilowatts per 100 miles 31.9. There we are.
So 3 hours non-stop across the widest part of Britain, and also maybe the angriest. Well, I did stop for a wee, so a little longer than that. It's still a long run. Let's face it, 3 hours. That's like half a Joe Rogan podcast.
What you're saying is very funny.
No air suspension in this one. The Polestar 3 has the air suspension. I thought this was going to be awful. This has got ZF dampers on it, and do you know what? I think I like it better. And the first thing that someone said who got in this car this morning was, "Oh, has this got the air suspension?" I said no, because it hasn't, but it feels like it has. I love it. Google integration is great. Not only is it faster than pretty much every other car, but for some reason, I don't want to be rude, but I don't mind saying, hey, some people have Google devices at home instead of Alexa, so lights or, just lights. And you can come home and get the car to put the lights on. And it's a small thing, but come on. Let's just have a quick dive in here and show you this so that you can get an idea on what you get. So here are your shortcuts. You can have full screen or split screen. And in this area, you've got drive. So you've got your creep mode. Now we've got hill descent control. We've got suspension feel, which is nimble, hard or standard. So even though it's not air, it is changeable. And then you've got the one pedal drive, the low or off if you don't like it. And then you've got this charging screen here, which is very nice, and your audio, which brings me on to the Harman Kardon. So this doesn't have the Bowers and Wilkins. This has a Harman Kardon. It's a very powerful system. People do talk about the fact that screens are really annoying and or dangerous and we want buttons. And to a degree, I massively agree with you. But here's a question. Is it the screens that we don't like? Or is it the fact that the interface is wrong?
That's not to say, like any other new-to-market product or UI, it is perfect. No. There are some software bugs, a few tweaks here and there, but that's still better than an early Tesla with their panel gaps that you could probably fit this through. That's it, mate. Besides PCP and you're under warranty, you haven't really got anything to worry about. You'll probably just pop into a Volvo dealership. They're very nice. Nice tea, good Volvo biscuits.
Here's your road noise check. So this is a quiet bit of road that I normally use, and I have had 58 decibels. Now this is reading about 67. So it's pretty quiet. But these tyres are singing a little bit on the loud surfaces, which is something that wasn't present in the Polestar 3. On the other hand, it's very quiet now, so it's almost as if again, this is down to tyres a lot of the time in cars. Really, one has to pay attention to one's tyres. The thing about this is it makes you kind of not want to use the motorway so much. I know you will do because it's got brilliant pilot assist, and it probably isn't that loud when you consider all things. However, it's one of those other excuses you might use to take the long way home, because not only is it quieter at these speeds, it's just intoxicating to drive.
Hang on a minute. This doesn't have an engine. That's not possible at all. Except it is. And when you get past that, something strange starts to happen.
If you spend enough time in one of these newer EVs, in particular the Polestar, what you'll find is potentially when you get back into your car or a performance car, it'll feel like old tech. It will be like driving a fax machine. Not because this is that much better than a performance car or a normal ICE car, just that it is so different and it offers so much more. Blimey, am I going to be one of those EV people?